Somewhere in the uncharted jungles of Papua New Guinea, there's a creature that doesn't follow the rules of nature. It doesn't leave tracks. It doesn't make sounds. And it seems to vanish before your very eyes. Scientists call it an anomaly. Locals call it a spirit. But no one can say exactly what it is or what it wants. Camera traps fail to record it. GPS signals go dead when it's near, and those who claim to have seen it, they don't talk about it twice. Some say it glows, others say it floats. A few believe it's not even alive in the way we understand life. What's more terrifying is this. Every time someone tries to investigate, something always goes wrong. And the deeper you look, the weirder it gets. This isn't just an unknown species, it's something older, smarter, and maybe even watching us right now. This is not just a story about a strange animal. This is the story of an intelligence science can't explain, and it begins in the shadows of a forgotten jungle. The first documented sighting came from deep within Papua New Guinea in 1997. Dr. Elliot Brand, a seasoned field biologist known for his skepticism, was on a routine expedition studying nocturnal primates. But what he encountered that night changed everything. He described seeing a pale, hairless creature, roughly the size of a large lemur, glowing faintly blue in the dark. It moved in absolute silence, almost gliding above the ground. When he tried to approach, his flashlight flickered and died. His camera froze. The creature simply vanished into the foliage, leaving no trace. Days later, Dr. Brand returned to base camp with a journal filled with frantic sketches and cryptic notes. Hours after submission, those notes mysteriously went missing from the research archives, and Dr. Brand never returned to the field again. The first real scientific data on the creature, nicknamed Yaloma, came not from photos or videos, but from something far stranger, tissue fragments collected from tree bark where the animal had briefly touched. These samples changed everything. At first glance, the cells seemed organic, like mammalian tissue. But under closer analysis, scientists noticed something impossible. The cells were regenerating, not healing, regenerating. Severed strands of DNA began reconnecting on their own, rebuilding themselves in petri dishes. One researcher called it living code, not biology as we know it, but something closer to programmable flesh. The creature lacks basic biological systems. No eyes, yet it detects motion. No lungs, but it vocalizes low-frequency pulses. Its blood, neither warm nor cold. It adapts. Some samples even change shape depending on who was observing them, almost as if the cells responded to human thought. One attempt to cryogenically freeze a tissue sample failed when the temperature sensors began recording reverse heat flow. Heat entering the sample despite the chamber being at sub-zero. A video of this moment was uploaded to a private database. Within hours, it was deleted, and all backups were corrupted. To date, no species on Earth has ever displayed this level of biological fluidity, adaptability, or resistance to examination. Some experts now question whether the Yaloma evolved on Earth at all, or whether it's something introduced by design or by accident. While modern science struggles to define the Yaloma, the people who live closest to it already have an answer. In the highland villages bordering the untouched jungle, the creature has been part of oral tradition for generations. They don't call it an animal, they call it a guardian. The locals refer to it as Yaloma, a word that roughly translates to the whisper between worlds. Elders claim it's not born of this earth, but of the forest's will itself, a spirit that appears when balance is broken, when trees are cut too fast, when blood is spilled unjustly, or when outsiders enter with greed in their hearts. Ancient carvings on tree bark, some believed to be over 400 years old, show nearly identical depictions. A tall, limbless figure with glowing eyes, or no face at all, always surrounded by curling vines, flames, and strange symbols. What's chilling is how these carvings match descriptions from modern-day sightings down to the creature's posture and eerie stillness. Shamans in the area refuse to speak its name aloud after sunset. They believe the Yaloma does not simply pass through the forest, it listens, and once it hears you, it remembers. One village even reports a man who mocked the creature during a drunken celebration. The next day, he was found sitting upright at the edge of the forest, eyes wide, breathing but unblinking, frozen in place for the rest of his life. To the villagers, the Yaloma is not a monster. It is punishment made flesh, a spirit of equilibrium. And when it appears, it means someone has broken a rule they never knew existed. In 2013, a private biotech company, whose name has since been scrubbed from official records, attempted the impossible, capturing the creature alive. Funded under a classified contract, a team of elite researchers and ex-military trackers entered the jungle with heat sensors, drones, and electromagnetic field cages. What they found was fear. The deeper they went, the more the forest changed. GPS failed, compass needles spun, and then each member began reporting the same hallucination, seeing themselves, walking just ahead, but reversed. No footage survived the expedition, cameras malfunctioned, drones dropped from the sky, and one chilling journal entry was recovered from the abandoned base camp. It read, "It's not the creature that's being studied, it's studying us." The mission was abandoned, the company shut down, and every scientist involved, they signed a silence agreement or vanished entirely. The Yaloma doesn't just avoid capture, it performs acts that violate the very fabric of natural law. Witnesses describe it vanishing into solid rock, slipping through tree trunks like mist, or appearing in two places at once. Infrared cameras have captured its body temperature dropping to absolute zero, without it dying. In one documented case, a wildlife camera showed the creature standing still for hours, until a bird landed nearby. In the next frame, the bird was lifeless on the ground. No movement, no contact, just death. And then there's the fire incident. In a region known for dry season wildfires, a blaze spontaneously extinguished when the creature appeared. Trees stopped burning mid-flame. Smoke reversed, as if time hesitated in its presence. These aren't animal instincts. These are interventions. And no known species can manipulate nature like this. With every failed explanation, one theory has emerged from the edges of mainstream science, an idea once dismissed as fantasy, biomagic. The belief that certain life forms might operate through systems beyond genetics or physics, guided by forces we don't yet understand. According to this theory, the Yaloma isn't just a creature, it's a living spell. A biological organism imbued with magical properties, shaped not by evolution, but by intent. And the evidence? Cave paintings in South America, tribal masks in Africa, and scrolls from ancient China, all depicting a nearly identical being. Always glowing, always watching, always alone. If these sightings span millennia and continents, could the Yaloma be a timeless intelligence? Not a species, but a single entity? Some believe it exists outside of linear time, appearing where balance is broken or where human interference grows too bold, not to kill, but to correct. Over the last 2 decades, at least 5 researchers who attempted to track the Yaloma have gone missing, without a trace. No distress calls, no signs of struggle, just silence. In every case, the only thing found was the same object, left neatly at the last known location, a single white feather. But no known bird in the region has feathers of that size or texture. What's worse, each feather appeared warm to the touch and pulsed, faintly, like a heartbeat. Locals believe this is the creature's warning, its final gift before erasure. Survivors from earlier expeditions speak of lost time, waking up miles from camp and seeing stars that don't belong to any sky chart. Whatever the Yaloma is, it doesn't just protect the forest, it decides who belongs in it. And once it chooses, there's no hiding from its judgment. In early 2024, a solo hiker named Thomas Reeve ventured near Mount Bosavi with a satellite phone and motion sensor camera. He never intended to search for the Yaloma, but he found it anyway. On day 3, he reported hearing whispers in the trees, low, rhythmic, and unmistakably calling his name. He captured no video. His last transmission was a brief, static-filled message. It sees me. Search teams found his gear days later. The footage on his motion sensor was corrupted, except for a single audio file. The file ends with a whisper, repeating his words, but distorted. "I see you too." Scientists dismissed it as radio interference, but sound engineers found something chilling. Embedded in the background of that whisper was a second voice, identical, echoed in reverse. Despite decades of investigation, the Yaloma remains a mystery untouched by science and immune to logic. It has no clear origin, no identifiable biology, and no predictable behavior. Every attempt to capture, classify, or even document it ends in failure or in fear. What if it's not a creature at all? Not something we can label under predator, prey, or parasite? What if it's a mechanism, a force of the forest designed not to survive, but to preserve? It doesn't kill indiscriminately. It doesn't attack for food. It appears when something is wrong, and when it vanishes, silence follows. Some researchers believe it's a kind of living threshold, a boundary between nature and whatever we've become. Not here to be found, but to find us when we go too far, when we drill too deep, cut too much, or forget that nature still has rules we didn't write and can't break without consequence. So the next time you step into the wild, listen closely. If the trees fall silent, if the birds stop singing, if your compass begins to spin, you may not be alone. Something older may be watching, and you won't even know it's there until it decides you've gone too far. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon for more videos.